Hurdle! Oh my goodness!
Right on to Nilton. He chipped it.
Fabian with a shot. Upper corner, top shelf.
Oh, what a goal!
Out to Reagan. He's out to
That lovely 70s music getting funky means it is time for MASL Monday. What's going on, everybody? Alex Bastivansky and my partner in Chrome Dome, this Phil Levanko, back once again. Welcome, everybody. Phil, how was the weekend, brother?
It was good. It was good. I've got a little bit of a challenge on my hands. Yeah. If I can humor you. You're a coffee drinker, right? Because we're friends, right? So
I am
a normal human being. Are you a pot guy or a K-cup guy? We've got K-cups now, and I'm struggling. Struggling.
K-cup.
You're a K-cup guy.
Yeah, and I have been for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And I do like it. I think it might be time for a new machine, but for the most part, it's okay. But I get the recyclable ones that I can put my own coffee into, so I don't buy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, and yeah. I'm currently in that process now. But I think I miss a pot. I miss just the large brew.
And this had a big effect on your weekend?
It has an coffee part of my life. I mean,
this is just a general,
very, very important part of the day. Yeah,
I had a few today to get myself going. To be completely honest with you, after the weekend I had, you got it going on. Yeah. We are going to cover a lot today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is not just coffee talk. This is MASL talk. Please follow us on all the relevant social medias. Phil, did anything happen this weekend? Jeez, let us think. Any big games, perhaps?
Only the game of the year. That's why I'm wearing my San Diego Front Wave Arena shirt. Only the game of the year.
He is. And they did represent this weekend against Chihuahua. Roll the highlights, buddy, because this was the game of the year. And just to set it up, Chihuahua took 5 of 6 against the Sockers last year, knocked them out of the playoffs. Chihuahua has been unstoppable so far this year. They're looking for a three-peat. Phil wanted to see something more from San Diego. Let's be honest. He said it several times.
Oh, yeah.
Phil, they showed you in this game, didn't they?
It was amazing. They came out of the gates and they started firing from all angles on Chihuahua. They got them uncomfortable and took a big 2-0 lead early. If you remember, same lead that Tacoma had early, but the Sockers just kept pressuring them, powering it on. Now, second half, Chihuahua did what they did was they slowed down the pace. And I thought Craig and Tony did an excellent job on the call last night. And they saw it, that Chihuahua sort of in the second half were able to just slow down the game a little bit. But at every big moment, the Sockers were there. And Tavoy Morgan had himself a first
4 goals. Yeah, monster in this game, huh? Just put the team on his back, basically. 4 goals in the game. And Pardo, do we have the Pardo save? Is that coming up right now?
It's coming up, yeah.
There it is. Boom. Save of the year right there.
It's incredible.
Absolutely monstrous. And Phil, that reminds me a lot of the save against Monterey from a couple seasons ago. Exact same spot against the Monterey Flash. But, I mean, this game had absolutely everything. And okay, so let's talk about the fact that Chihuahua goes on the road, can't pick up the win. This to you is this is something you wanted to talk about because you feel this is a bit of their Achilles heel. They are absolutely virtually unbeatable at home, but on the road, different story.
On the road is a night and day. They're a Jekyll and Hyde, and they have yet to prove, really, to me and the rest of the league, that they can take care of business away from corner sport, right? We all know about the short field. We all know about how many shots that they, take on at home. But when they get to these bigger fields, it's an opportunity. There's more space involved. It gets them uncomfortable. And I think what San Diego did was sort of put them on the back foot immediately. Went to a goalie change at halftime. Christian Hernandez in for Reynoso. And while they sort of wrestled some of the tempo back in that second half, San Diego was there and sort of wouldn't let them really dominate the Sockers that we've seen in the past. I don't know if you remember the game last year. There was a yellow card sequence, and San Diego really sort of lost the grip on the game because of a sequence of yellow cards. This one, they kept discipline, kept control, and took care of business.
And just a little, just before we go to the next game, that is absolutely huge for San Diego's confidence. That game after losing 5 of 6 against them last year, huge for their confidence. Let's do Tacoma and Empire. Well, Tacoma 2 games on the weekend. This is the game against Empire. This one was close. They dropped it 4-3. What did you see in this one, Phil?
Well, so they really put all their eggs in this basket to try to win this one. That game that Tacoma had in Chihuahua, no Pereira, no Toth, no Cox. So what they really did was load up for this game against Empire. And really, it was more of the same from Empire. We saw the 6th attacker goalie sort of, in play. Marco Fabian scored one wonder goal after another wonder goal.
He had a bicycle too, didn't he?
And yeah, really, Tacoma never really answered the bell after that. I must be said.
There it is. Boom. Oh, he's so good.
Just kept their foot on the gas the whole time. Chance on both ends for sure. Don't get me wrong, but I never really felt Empire was ever in danger of losing this one. Roberto Palmer, who makes that pass there, had an excellent game against Pereira. Brian Orozco was in net for the crunch time minutes for Empire. I thought Brandon Gomez, these goals here sort of went through him, which you never want as a goaltender to have those goals go through you as you see.
Yeah. So, okay. So, and do we have any of the highlights against Chihuahua? By the way,
we really just have. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's one highlight from that.
That's
game.
all we
There's
need.
a single highlight.
We just need on his bicycle. That's it. Let's see it. Goal of the year possibly so far right here.
This is incredible.
Boom. Yeah. Beautiful. Even the fans at Corner Sport, they appreciate that. They were, look at them. Some of them were on their feet showing their appreciation for that. So unbelievable goal, but it was a 21-8 win for Chihuahua in that game. It should be said though, Tacoma didn't bring a lot of their big boys for this game. They were saving them for Empire. And that's where you're saying they kind of got burned on that in the end.
So it's getting one more note here on Tacoma, getting a little bit of crunch time, right? Their schedule is difficult. And, as they sort of try to make their way to the playoffs, right now they're out of a playoff position. They only have one win on the season, but they've got games against Empire left, San Diego left, Milwaukee left. This is not an easy schedule to kind of claw points back.
It is not. Before we go to break, let's just quickly talk about Baltimore's 2 wins over Utica because we've got Baltimore coach Dave Bascome coming on in the next segment. This was the one on the blue turf on New Year's Eve. Fantastic. This is
a great game.
One of the games of the year as well. 6-5 Baltimore pulls it out. Obviously a massive win on the road against a team up to this point, which had been pretty dominant so far this season in Utica. And then in the return match on Saturday, Baltimore takes it big time, 10-4. So Baltimore's great so far this season, Phil. They're 5-1. You want to comment on that real quick, or also about the fact that Utica, missing Kelvin Oliveira, really a different team.
So just on the Utica side real quick, we talked about the narrative with Chihuahua. Utica's got a narrative too that they're a one-man team, and they did nothing this weekend to sort of disprove that theory. They've got a lot of guys on that team that need to start putting the ball in the back of the net. Baltimore, that's a heck of a goal there from Welly Bermuse. The roster rebuild is complete, man. This team is ready and poised to make a challenge for the Ron Newman Cup playoffs this year. All these young guys, we saw it against Harrisburg a couple weeks ago in that comeback victory at home. Well, they played a great road game here in Utica to take the victory, and then really the game at home, which we'll see soon. They blitzed Utica 5 goals in something like 3 minutes, which is something you do in TU Arena. Here's the game winner by Chris Porch, who's been fantastic. For
we'll talk about both. We'll talk about both the games, including this one right here, when we've got Dave coming on in the next segment. So I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break for a couple minutes. When we come back, Baltimore coach Dave Bascome will join us. More MASL Monday coming back in just a moment.
And a goal! Hello! Bang, bang for Baltimore. And Welly Bermuse! Pacheco with a goal! PJ just seconds again as Jesus Pacheco makes it 5.
Producer Phil with the lovely little sizzle reel there. Bravo, my friend. Bravo. And speaking of sizzle, yeah, I know it's cheesy. I had to say it though.
That's all right. It's fine.
Sizzling start to the season for the Baltimore Blast. And we are so happy to be joined by their head coach, Dave Bascome. How's it going, buddy? Fantastic start to the season. You must love the way the team's been playing so far.
Yeah, it's been great. First of all, it's a pleasure being here. Phil and Alex. Now it's been great, right? It's where you love to be as a coach, especially early on with the reform that we have here. So I'm really excited for it, and looking forward to Game 7, Game 8, and 9. Right, that's the focus.
Coach, 2 wins versus Utica, and in my opinion, 2 different style of wins. Up here, a sort of a defensive approach, and then you kind of blitzkrieg them at home. How pleased are you with those 2 victories?
Very pleased. It's nothing better when you go with a plan and you have a plan, and you can start to see, right? It's kind of like watching and what this is going to look like and what it looks like for us this season. You know, you got this blank canvas, right? And you're slowly putting these brush strokes on it. Everybody being a part of it, right? And we're far from complete. So this is encouraging, to see this come together.
Juan Pereira, the new captain this season. Dave, tell us about Juan's game and what qualified him to be the captain in your mind.
Yeah, so they're only allowing us to have one captain. We actually have 2, Juan and Melo. I took my fine on the chin the first game, having them both wear armbands. Both of these young men, they are a crucial part of our reform, not a rebuild. Their maturity, they've been around the game. And captains I take very seriously. Last 3 years, because we had so many veterans, I allowed the players to select based on certain requirements. Because as a captain, one of your job is to take what you have learned and share, but also be able to carry the message and execute from the coaching staff. And Juan has done that, and Melo does it all the time, right? So that's what has helped with our young players go through. And, what a joy to watch player. And he knows now is that, we can't change time, right? You can't hold time is what we do in that time from this point as a player. And that's where he's at, is valuing his time.
Coach, I want to talk about your 2 goaltenders. You've got 2 great goaltenders on your team, and Mike Zierhofer was incredible these past 2 games. But Julian has been great too, played a couple of great games before that. Can you take us through sort of your selection process, why Mike plays one game, why Julian plays one game, and their relationship as well?
Yeah, so in all transparency, we've all given up a lot. We have 24 games in the season. The first 6 games is always gathering your evidence, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's important. You can't go into the season right off the bat and think that you're going to have it. So from personnel to goalkeepers, we have a 3rd goalkeeper as well, Mike Mahia. So you gather the evidence, right? And then you look after the 6 games which is played on start going through our tactics, right? Both goalkeepers, all 3 have different styles. So then it's about tactical. And then after that, it's about can they grow each other, especially when you got these 2 dynamics. Can they grow each other? And that's the key, right? That's the part of building a culture and reforming young players and new players coming through.
Dave, the game against Harrisburg last week on the 27th was a fascinating one. Phil and I got a real kick out of this last week because you were down 5-0 in the contest, and you didn't start some of the big boys at first. You went with the youth movement in the game. Went down 5-0, came back and won ultimately in overtime in that contest. Tell us about that game. First of all, what your thought process was in the players you started, and also what it says about your team that they had the fortitude to make that huge comeback and pull it out in OT.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think that once the goals were going in and it was the way they were scored, right? And as a coach, you got to bring calm. I wasn't shouting, wasn't going crazy. You bring calm because you got to trust what you have and trust what you do. It's about, as a coach, you're always looking on the other side. I love coaching against coaches, right? Looking on the other side, how they get there. I had to transform that quickly. I had to process that quickly. Then after that, we're down 5. Next minute is 6-1, 6-2. Then it's halftime comes around. And there wasn't so much of a fear of the result. There was a fear of consistently staying to what we do. And that's what it was. I had a smile on my face, and I told the players, I said, listen, well, okay, you just got to stick with it, right? You just got to stick with it. And that was the focus. Once we realized that, okay, we was making our own mistakes and we was losing the game, then we just had to clean up some areas. And that's what it called for. What was empowering, not one player arguing, focused, and trusting. Because at the end of the day, and here's how I function, is that let it be a coach's problem. Don't let it be a player's problem. Because the first thing I will put my hand up first. And if I can't get the job done, is no one's going to fire me. I just walk away. Because that's where we have to be as coaches. But before any player leaves this club especially, I want to make sure that I'm giving them all the tools. And I told them, you trust me, and we grind it out. Did I expect the outcome like it did? I expected us to get back on track and limit our mistakes. That's what I expected.
Right.
It could be a season-defining win as well, that one in Harrisburg, because it really sort of set the tone for, this past weekend as well. One of the players I'm obsessed with, one of the younger guys you have, Welly Bermuse. How has his development gone? Where have you found him? That's a magical left foot on that player.
Yeah, what a joy, right? Welly, actually, a young man, 20, 21 years old. And players help find players. Players help. That's the one thing I do love, And when players feel that there's a good culture, a culture to build, especially young players, that's how it all started. When he came into training, not 5 minutes. Okay, that's it. We got to sign you, right? You have to see these. You have to see these talents. His growth has been great. All the young players will tell you, you can't defend, you can't play for me. You must learn how to defend. You can have all the ability in the world. You can have all the flicks and tricks, all the goals, but you must learn how to defend first. That's how I came in this league in 1991. It's defending. You had to learn how to defend. But and it allows you to be able to relax and play the game. And that's what we're seeing, right? We're allowing him to play.
One last question here, because we're almost out of time for the segment, Dave. But, we've talked to a lot of Blast players, past and present, about the culture, Baltimore Blast culture. Couple of questions here to finish off here. Number one is, what is Blast culture to you? And secondly, such a culture of winning in Baltimore all those years. The last title was in 2017, 2018, which actually blows my mind. And that was the last of 3 straight Blast titles. Does it feel like an eternity considering the winning culture that's been there in Baltimore for so long?
Yeah, I'll tell you what's the biggest thing in a short is that once you have that culture, was we able to sustain it? And that's where we are, right? Is building back up, sustaining it. I mean, we could talk about, as they call the old dynasty, Chicago Bulls. They won all these championships, right? And that's where we are. Not a rebuild, that we form. So shifting back. So the joy comes into the hunt. Yeah. The prize comes into, the kill, the win, the trophy, right? And that's where I'm at. So the joy is the hunt, building, transforming, and that's where we are. And I could say just one thing, because I don't want this to get missed, and I know we out of time, is that I don't do this alone. I have awesome coaches and staff. Coach Sergio, Coach Neto, my performance coach, and my phaser play coach, unbelievable. That's a part of my executionist, because it comes with everybody being able to pull this together to be successful.
You guys are firing on all cylinders this season, man. It's been a lot of fun to watch the Blast sort of getting in there again after a couple of years. And Baltimore Blast dominance is good for the MASL. There's no question about it. Old school, great team, great organization. It's been a pleasure watching you guys doing so well again. We'll be watching you down the stretch, Dave. Thanks so much for taking the time.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks again.
Welcome back to MASL Monday, everybody. Alex Bastiavansky and Phil Levanco. As we get into our last segment now, and should have mentioned off the top, Alex, but a couple of games that were, got postponed this past weekend due to inclement weather, as they say, between Milwaukee and KC. That has been rescheduled in Kansas City for Friday, March 14th, 8:05. St. Louis against Dallas also rescheduled, postponed due to flight cancellations. No makeup date yet for that one, though. Harrisburg, it should be mentioned, picked up their first win of the season They dropped the Texas Outlaws in their Texas swing as they hit both Mesquite and, I guess Mesquite is part of Dallas, isn't it? Kind of suburb.
You know better than me,
Dallas?
my friend. That sounds about right.
I'm Canadian, for crying out loud. You're
Listen,
supposed to know these things.
I'm proud of you. You didn't say two-step. That's all I'm saying.
No, I'm a good boy. But the Heat beat the Outlaws 9-8. So congrats to Harrisburg, who's been a tough out for sure all season long.
Hat tricks for Dom Francis and Joey Tavernisi. Joey, at this moment, too, leading the MASL in goals with 12.
And Jamie Lovegrove, you wanted to mention Jamie Lovegrove picking up a 2 goals and assist and eclipses 200 career MASL points. So congrats to Jamie. Let's give you folks an update on fan voting for the All-Star Game. A reminder, you can vote in your favorite players, and you've got until 2 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Phil, do I have that correct?
2 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. So if you're listening to this tomorrow on Tuesday, it's today. If you're listening to this on Monday, it's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow.
You know how this podcast world works.
MASLsoccer.com for you to cast your votes there. Just a quick little update as to who's leading, because we want to get the power rankings in the first power rankings of the year. For forwards, Leo Acosta currently on top. For defenders, Juan Alava currently on top with 22%. And for goalkeepers, Willie B on top, Mr. Banahaney with 40% of the vote so far. So be sure to get your vote in. And now the most important thing of the day, for the first time this season, Phil has his power rankings. Phil,
let's put them up.
Throw them up, and everyone have at him in the comments as to what you think. He's got San Diego overtaking now. Thank you to that victory. Thanks to that victory over Chihuahua. And you are one cruel individual, my friend.
Why is that?
Dropping the Savage right down to number 3 because of the one loss they've had this season. But you got the Wave up in number 2. Okay.
Well, Chihuahua hasn't really proved that they can sort of dominate like they can at home on the road, right? And the Wave 5-1 on this season. I think they've kind of gone a little bit under the radar, plus 14 goal difference, undefeated at home, Milwaukee. So they've been good.
Yep. And Baltimore 5-1 in the season so far. You've got them at number 4. You got the Comets down at number 5. UCFC at 6. Empire at 7. Empire is starting to show some pretty good stuff this season, so they could definitely hop into the top 5 at least. And then, I think St. Louis at 8. Tacoma just has not impressed since their first win, and then close loss to Chihuahua. Dallas 10, Harrisburg 11, and the Outlaws 12. I think you feel kind of that 8 through 12 is going to stay pretty static through the season. Phil, is that your prediction?
Yeah. I think Milwaukee fans, I think Chihuahua fans, Baltimore fans, Kansas City fans, they can all, those kind of teams you have a gripe for sure, because that's kind of where we land. But I think after, their victory on Sunday night against Chihuahua, I think San Diego deserves to kind of be in that top spot. Only one loss on this year. San Diego, losses in regulation, but 2 OT losses as well.
Let us know what you think, folks.
Yeah,
I love it because this is where Phil takes the heat. This is where producer Phil takes the heat with his power ranking. So let us know what you think, what you feel, and we'll see how they get updated next week. But that's it, buddy. We're out of time.
It moves so fast.
It moves so fast. We could have had, thanks to Coach Dave for coming on. We could have honestly done 20 minutes of that. But huge thank you to him. And thank you for watching, folks. Just a reminder, please check out all the MASL socials to stay up to date on everything that's going on throughout the Major Arena Soccer League season. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.